January. The time-honoured dumping ground for shit movies that nobody in their right mind expects to turn a profit. The weather's cold and dark, everyone's broke after blowing all their money on beer and hookers, Christmas presents and family gatherings, and basically nobody's in the mood to drag their lazy arses to the cinema. Least of all me, especially after suffering through 2 hours of the 355. Remember the hugely successful Charlie's Angels reboot from a couple of years ago? Ever wondered what it would be like if that movie took itself dead seriously, trying to position itself as a hybrid of Jason Bourne and Mission Impossible, and the Angels were played by a bunch of middle-aged has-beens trying to revive their flagging careers by rebranding themselves as action stars? Well, wonder no longer, because now the 355 is here to satisfy all your lazy, mediocre action thriller needs. A film announced way back in May 2018 that the studio was so excited about, they only just released it into theatres during the slowest month of the year, brought to you by the writer of Catwoman and the director of X-Men Dark Phoenix. Jesus, why do I do this to myself? Anyway, it's almost time for my gin and vodka smoothie, so let's get this shit over with quick. The plot of the 355 centres around the hunt for a magical bullshit computer MacGuffin, which allows its user to hack any computer system on Earth and bend it to their will. In the wrong hands, it could shut down power grids, crash aircraft, or turn off Joe Biden's life support system. The wrong hands in this case being generic male villain who takes control of it during a deal gone wrong in Bogota. Colombian police are able to intercept the deal and one of their agents takes possession of the device. He then travels to Paris to sell it to a CIA agent played by Jessica Chastain. Why Paris, you might ask? Because it looks nice. Get used to this kind of thing though, because it's basically a hallmark of this movie. The action jumps from Colombia to Paris to Morocco to Shanghai for no other reason than because they're exotic locations that look nice on screen. Anyway, I digress. So the deal in Paris goes tits up when Diane Kruger muscles her way in and Jessica Chastain's boyfriend gets killed in the confusion. Or does he? And the only means of tracking the device somehow ends up in the hands of a rookie agent played by Penelope Cruz. Fuck me, what is this movie? Naturally, Jessica Chastain's out for revenge against generic male villain, so she recruits the pizza Neong to go after him. They soon cross paths with Diane Kruger and Penelope Cruz, and then a Chinese spy gets thrown in because, fuck it, why not at this point? The upshot here is that this diverse team of ass-kicking females have to learn to work together to overthrow the patriarchy, get their hands on the magical bullshit computer MacGuffin, and kill generic male villain before he can blow up the worlds. And naturally, there's lots of double crosses, revelations, red herrings, and magical resurrections. Can you believe that Jessica Chastain's boyfriend, who's played by a high-profile actor and died off screen in the most anticlimactic way possible near the start of the movie, turns out to have been a double agent working against them the whole time? Wow, who could have predicted this? Anyway, needless to say, the strong, capable, virtuous ladies eventually defeat the weak, corrupt, evil men before high-fiving each other and going their separate ways, teasing the prospect of a sequel that will absolutely never happen. And then everyone cried and applauded. And that's it, that's the plot for the 355. If I had to compare this movie to something, I'd say it's like a museum exhibit with animatronic mannequins performing the same basic movements while you walk by. It goes through all the familiar motions you'd expect, but there's no hint of sparkle, individuality, or creativity behind it. The plot is just your standard bad guy wants magical items set up with a bit of revenge thrown in to spice things up. And of course, there's all the usual ego-stroking tedium you'd expect from a modern movie like this. Lots of power poses and standoffs and 100-pound girls awkwardly thrown around very accommodating stuntmen twice their size. Seriously, how many times are you going to try and sell this stuff before realising that nobody in their right mind is buying it? The only movie in recent years to depict a somewhat believable fight between men and women was Atomic Blonde, and most of that was down to Charlize Theron working her arse off to sell a character who can take a beating and keep going through sheer fucking bloody-minded determination. There's none of that here though. The fights are so obviously choreographed to make the actresses look good that it's more like watching Dancing with with the stars than any kind of action movie I can think of. The sad thing is that there's actually a pretty decent cast of experienced actors on board, but none of them seem invested in what they're doing. Everyone's just phoning it in for a quick paycheck, like they know this is all kind of silly and they just want to get it over with as quickly as possible. Especially Penelope Cruz and Fan Bingbing, who I suspected took this role because she needed the money after the incident in 2018. Hey, that tax bill's not going to pay itself, you know. The boys don't fare much better either. Sebastian Stan looks bored out of his mind, and while Jason Fleming is a talented veteran at this point, damn, he doesn't exactly have much to work with here. When it comes to understanding a film like this, it's usually helpful to look back on the thought process behind its creation. In this case, it sprang from the mind of Jessica Chastain during the shooting of Dark Phoenix, when she decided, hey, Mission Impossible and James Bond are cool, I want to do that but with women, which isn't a terrible idea in principle, and to be fair, I'll give them credit for at least inventing something new, instead of just gender swapping an existing male franchise. But as always, the success of an idea like this lies in the execution. The Mission Impossible movies stand out because they're tightly written, competently directed, and they make full use of Tom Cruise's willingness to do fucking insane stunts. In short, they're a pretty tough act to follow, and you're certainly not going to put yourself on the same level by taking a bunch of reluctant actresses with little or no action experience and throwing them in with a generic espionage/revenge plot that's been done 100 times before. Ultimately, the 355 is just another sobering reminder that the tired formula of doing the same thing but with girls has never really worked and probably never will unless you get some actual brains and talent behind it. And I think we all know those are in short supply these days. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.